The only way a ceasefire can happen, which is everybody's talking about online, between Russia and Ukraine, is if the US pulled out entirely. That means Starlink, Intel, targeting information, the whole lot out. Then the Russians would know, oh well, it means they can't rearm during a ceasefire, as Lavrov said. He said they'll just pump them full of weapons if there's a ceasefire. There's no ceasefire. But if they did that, then they know that there's no way they can be pumping them full of weapons. So that would get a ceasefire, but it wouldn't get a resolution. I don't think there would be a resolution. The ceasefire will be until Russia says, well, we're going to take the rest of all the indigenous Russian regions, and they will do that. And there's no question about that. That's not negotiable. The US don't need that region, don't care about that region. It's got nothing to do with them. Russia's not an existential threat to Europe or the USA. They've got no business being there, but they will then resupply Ukraine nonetheless, just to save face. So a whole bunch of people are going to die for no reason until all of those indigenous regions are in Russia's hands. And then what? Well, there'd be basically a demilitarized zone, if you would, and it just face two sides facing off against each other. Russia wouldn't need to go any further. Doesn't want to, unless NATO start putting bases and weapons and things in, around Kiev and all the other areas. Then that would mean that Russia would reluctantly go for another few years until they end up all the way over to Lviv. Then beyond that border, doesn't matter. It's so far away from Moscow and Russia, indigenous Russia, by then that it's no different to having a NATO base in Poland or Hungary or Romania. And Ukraine would just be a little landlocked bit of nothing around Lviv with a bunch of Bandera Nazis that no one wants to govern anyway. Russia doesn't want these people in their country, so they really don't want to go beyond the indigenous regions. But if NATO put base, they can't put base. They're not going to put bases there. They got nothing. They can't even. They got nothing. They got their military nothing. They don't have it. So I think this war could have a ceasefire, but if it did have a ceasefire, they're not going to agree on anything, and then the war will continue, and a lot of people will die until all indigenous regions are taken by Russia. After which, I think NATO will not be putting bases in Ukraine, and that will be the end of the war.